Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacalyn. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV. And a big shout out to our friends listening in New York on Business Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is The Wise Ones. This is such a special episode because not only do I get to share this stage with the phenomenal red.olaughlin, but our guest today actually interviewed me. So now we are switching places. So before I give any more information about that, let's bring on red.olaughlin. He is our co-host here at USA Global TV. He's also a talking head, which means he's an expert in his field, and he is one of our elevated listeners. So he is on all three of our teams here. He's a personal friend. He's my book coach. He is an award-winning author. He is a veteran. He's a longevity expert, and he's just an all-around good guy. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I feel honored just to listen to that. In fact, when I listen to our guest coming up, Gail, he does a similar presentation, and I feel just as humble. Today we're going to turn the tables, and I'm going to do a presentation on him. But thank you so very much, Dr. Jacalyn. That's really an honor to be on your show.
Well, Red, it's an honor to be with you. I mentioned just quickly backstage, we had a show right before this, The Corner Bookstore with Diane Floyd-Boehm, and we had two people who just were singing your praises also. Everybody just loves Red. So it's because you really are a person who leads with his heart. You do what you say you're going to do, and you have the incredible character and integrity.
Thank you so very much.
Well, thank you. I'm going to spotlight you before we bring out Gail, and I'm just going to ask you to share a little bit about your background. This show is The Wise Ones. So why did you want to be on this platform as a co-host, and how does your background lend to that?
Well, been married 53 years. You have to have a lot of wisdom to get to that level and still enjoy life on a daily basis. My wife is watching today live as we're doing this. The other parts of my life, I got a number of different degrees in all different subjects. I started out with chemistry, was my first love, but I didn't get a chance to become a chemist because I got an invitation to Vietnam. 31 plus years later, I retired from the military and been to 61 countries in the world. Nowadays, I write almost every single day. In fact, I can't remember the last day I didn't write. I think it's back when I had COVID. I took several days off, but regardless, I write every day. I've authored 5 books. I help other people get their books written and published, and I got over 20 books that I published for people. And I enjoy helping people along in many different aspects. My best area that I love to work in is longevity. I research what goes on in the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem. Treat a symptom, and you'll always be treating the symptom. So those are the things that I look at. And if there's any way, you ask me the time and I'll build you a watch. You have to tell me to stop. So I'm going to stop right now before I start building a watch, and let's get our guest on here before I take up all the time today.
Well, fantastic. And I just want everyone to know that Red helped me get my first book published, and we are in the finishing processes of the editing for the second book. This is the man that you want to contact if you are a new author. He will help you. He will be your accountability partner, and he'll help you get that thing published a lot quicker than you would on your own. So please do reach out to him. All right. On to you to introduce our guest today.
Our guest today is Gail Stolzenburg. He's known here in the local Houston area as the Master Connector. He knows literally everyone. And I'm talking, it doesn't matter whether it's an Olympic champion, whether it's a motivational speaker, he knows everyone. And not only does he know them, he knows them personally. He's been involved in so many different events in things, Olympics, emceeing this. I wish I could just name them all, but we don't have the time. So I'm just going to say, Gail, welcome aboard, and let's see what you look like. And here, and you got a wonderful voice too. That's probably why they use you a lot for hosting and for being an MC of events.
Welcome to the program, Gail. Hello.
Well, welcome, Dr. Jackie and Jacalyn and Red. We have spoken at many events together, and glad to see you again.
Yeah, he's my primary contact for my speaking gigs at the Houston West Chamber of Commerce, and so I do a little health and wellness pitch then, and occasionally I do the keynote. But generally speaking, Gail opens up with how do we become a better connector of people, and things have changed a lot in the last couple of years with the pandemic. When we used to go around and shake hands with everyone, we're not doing that for a couple of years. We ended up in the video world, and that has changed our dynamic. Gail's had a very successful career in a lot of that shaking hands and patting on the back and looking you in the eye and just keeping you engaged in being able to communicate the value you add to whatever you're doing. So, Gail, I think that's a good place to start. How did you become a master connector?
Well, I think probably started from my business associations. I was involved in a company that was a consultant for a number of different industries, primarily in the IT area. And so I would be traveling around and being involved with different associations and helping to promote the company. And that was a place where I did in-person type of networking. And of course, the pandemic had a major influence on that type of work. So what what I ended up having to do, like most other people, was to go online, and this was a big shift from the large groups that I would host at hotels and give presentations to a lot more one-to-one type presentations, and then finally moving into webinars and that type of activity.
How did you get involved with the Olympics?
My hobby was the sport of judo. I actually got involved with judo at the age of 16 and have done it all of my life. I was an athlete, never a national champion or Olympic athlete, but I was in the top of the 5-state area, I guess. And one of the things that I did was continue with coaching and then refereeing internationally. And then I was an officer of the national governing body and director for, well, longer than anybody else in the country. But that put me in touch with the Olympic Committee, and I served on the ballot, on the budget committee for the United States Olympic Committee. And that put me in position to where I would start working with national championships, and I would MC them. And then I went on to Pan Am Games, and then finally I MC'd several of the Olympic Games for the sport of judo.
So you've traveled around the world quite a bit, right?
I've done a lot of world traveling, yes.
Wow, Gail, that is amazing. We haven't had anybody on this platform who's done that. That's just fantastic.
And he's had a couple different Olympic athletes on our Houston West Chamber of Commerce just here within the last 12 months, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Ruben Gonzalez was one of them. He is a 4 times Olympian in 4 different decades. So quite an accomplishment. He was actually based in Houston, but his sport was luge. And if you're familiar with luge, that's like riding a sled down at 90 miles an hour. And there weren't very many hills in Houston.
I have a question, Red, if you don't mind. I just want to ask a follow-up.
Sure.
Gail, you talked about the shaking of hands, and I think Red, alluded to, you pat somebody on the back, you shake the hand, and And I just wondered, the fact that that doesn't happen as much anymore, if at all, in some places, how do you think that that's impacted being able to have an authentic connection with someone? And what I mean is sometimes when you shake somebody's hand, like a firm handshake, it's like, yeah, or, kind of a loose, like you think something about the person and their personality. What are your thoughts now that we can't do that? How can you really make that authentic connection online?
Well, people make up the decision within a couple seconds, sometimes less, about whether or not they want to continue the conversation with you, and they do that based on your appearance and on what you say and what you do. So it goes a lot further than just the handshake. If you ask where does networking start, I'd tell you when you got up in the morning and looked in the mirror, and you put on your networking face. So that's that makes a difference. How you approach the networking, and maybe the handshaking is not as important.
Thank you.
One of the things that I really admire about Gail is the fact that he is a consummate authority on health and wellness. A lot of things that I talk about, he's already well versed in. And he's been involved in this since college, basically. Is that correct?
That's kind of when I started out. Yeah.
Why don't you give us a little bit of background about your health and wellness experiences?
Okay. I um, I was raised on a ranch, 25 miles from the nearest town in Valentine, Nebraska. And, and most of my early years, I was restricted to the number of people that I could associate with. So my father had a some health problems. He had emphysema and heart problems, and the only time that he ever felt well was when he was traveling in Texas. And so we sold the ranch and we moved to Texas, and I went to school there in Austin, Texas. Actually, I went to a ministerial preparatory school, high school and college. And if I hadn't been kicked, well, I wasn't kicked out. I was just asked not to return, and that's different. But anyway, so at that point, I went to University of Texas and focused on physical education, and that led me to being involved with the sport of judo, and it also led me to continuing with teaching people about physical education. So there was a health component of that. Later on, I developed some of the symptoms that my father had. He died in his 50s, and I was anticipating the same thing would happen. I was actually living off of steroids like prednisone. I was using a inhaler, puffer they call them, like Ventolin, Provenolin, and I was unable to sleep lying down. I had to sleep in an easy chair, and so I started studying about health and wellness, and I attended the uh, American Life Science Institute, got a degree in health and sciences, and started changing my life. When I made those lifestyle changes, within 30 days, I'd eliminated all the pharmaceutical drugs, and I'm in better shape now than I was uh, many years ago. So that led me on to become a certified wellness coach, and that's where I am today.
Now, in your earlier years, you were a seventh degree black belt, so you weren't just a national champion, but you were pretty well accomplished in that area. So you had to be not only healthy, but you had to have that coordination, the skills. I mean, everything. You had to be a total package to get to that level. Is that a fair statement?
I think that is a fair statement. Thank you, Red.
Seems like
And so
everything
you,
was building on each other to get you to where you are.
That's correct.
yeah, Gail, when he puts up his not resume, but list of things, because we throw up a slide when we're talking, and his slide's much longer than mine. But one of the things I also admire about him that we share, he's a commercial pilot. and he's done a lot of his own flying. Your son's also is he commercial pilot or just a private pilot?
My son is now a private pilot. I actually used my plane in business. You're not with the IRS, are you? But every time I flew, it was a business flight, and I've flown all over the U.S. I actually own 7 airplanes in my life, and so I've flown a variety of them. But I really miss it now. But my son's a pilot, so I get to fly with him.
And you're also a scuba diver?
I'm an advanced scuba diver, and I've dove at many different areas, the Cayman Islands and down in Australia, Hawaii, and a variety of places. And there's really not much difference between flying and diving. Both of them are just atmospheric changes, you know.
Well, one of the things I know you have a passion for is training. You mentioned earlier you put your face on in the morning. That's when you start networking before you even leave the house. You get your mindset. I know you're a lot into how can people improve their ability to communicate. And you have one presentation I like a lot, networking and sex or something like that. I can't remember the exact title of it.
This is actually a takeoff of a book by Dr. Ivan Meisner, who is the founder of BNI, the world's largest business referral organization. I think they got 275,000 members or something like that. And he had done a study, 4-year study, with thousands of individuals when networking to determine what the difference was between the way that men networked and the way women networked. And there are a significant number of differences. Men are basically bottom line. They want to get right to the final result, and women are more nurturers and networkers, and they do a much better job networking than men ever will.
So, Gail, I have a follow-up question. Just you mentioned about putting on your networking face in the morning. Do you have to really be passionate about networking to be great at it, or can you be sort of half-hearted and just,
Well,
just
it's like you have a little TV screen on your forehead there, and people can tell whether you're lying or whether you're exaggerating or whether you're really honest about how you feel. And so I kind of follow the training that Tony Robbins has done. I've actually walked across the fiery coals and all that kind of stuff. But one of the things that he talks about is peak state, and whoever is in the more peak state is the one that ends up winning the conversation.
You mentioned BNI. I know you've been a member for almost 20 years, but how does BNI help you with where you are today?
Well, you started the conversation talking about training. BNI probably has the best training of any networking organization that I know, and one of the aspects of that training is accountability. So when you attend a BNI meeting, they've got a little sheet out there, and that shows every time that an individual has attended, how many visitors they've brought, how many referrals they've given, how many referrals they've received, and so this accountability is a major part of that network training.
Tom Big Al Schreider is one that I know. I hear you talking, and I can just see him in place of you because you've adopted a lot of his networking snippets, for lack of a better word. He has so many ways of being able to enhance a conversation. Would you share a couple of those?
Well, do you know how a dog knows when you're going to give him a bath? You see, a dog spends their entire life just eating and sleeping and playing and watching you. And they learn all of your body mannerisms and they learn about the words you say. And so when you say, I'm going to give this dog a bath, they jump underneath the couch. kids are the same way. In fact, they watch their mothers, and they've learned all her mannerisms and her moods and so on. And they know the best time to ask for a cookie. And we're the same way when we're networking. We know that there are certain words that raise a flag, a red flag, that says, I'm trying to sell you something. And what these few words are, I know you'd like to learn what they are, but we're here in this session. It takes me a few minutes to describe that to you. So would it be okay if we just got together and had a cup of coffee tomorrow, and we could see how we could help each other build our business? You never, ever want to sell something in a networking environment. You only want to add value. And so I'll tell you what those words are. They are I, me, mine, we, us, ours, talking about yourself. And you see, that raises the flag, and people start looking over your shoulder to see who the next person is they're going to meet. So instead, focus on talking about them. And they have two concerns. One is if you can solve a problem of theirs, or two, if you can help them increase their income. So spend your time talking about them rather than yourself.
And so the coffee suggestion is, I'm not selling anything. Let's get together. But now in the video world, it's not quite the same because you're not having that cup of coffee, but you are having that video conversation with somebody if that's the way to go in this post-pandemic world. Is that a fair statement?
I think what's happening in the video world, we are spending a lot of our time trying to increase our database, the number of individuals we have contact with, and we do that by some type of free giveaway. It may be a report, it may be a book. In my case, one of the things that I do is I've got a book that actually a physician friend of mine did all the work on it, but it's got my name on it, and it's called Gut Matters. Hippocrates said that health begins in the gut. And so this book covers all aspects of gut, about it being the second brain, and about the microbiome, and about inflammation, and all the things that people need to do to have a healthier gut. And so when they send their email to me, I will give them a free ebook, and that's the way most of the work is being done in these days.
You have other publications you've done too, right?
I've done a lot of articles. I did years worth of Small Business Today articles. I've written the first book that I was ever involved with was called Walking with the Wise, and this was published by Mentors Magazine, and it had some other headliners in there too, like Brian Tracy, Mark Victor Hansen, and so forth. So it ended up being a bestseller, not because of me, but because of them. And then the next book I did was called Dynamic Health, and it was really my story about how I changed from someone that was looking toward their deathbed toward optimum health. And I think there was less than 1,000 people that ended up reading that book. But then I did some on networking, 21 ways to connect, even without experience, and connections now, from contacts to clients, and one that I'm working on that I'm really enjoying because I've had so many great mentors in my life, and it's called Mentoring with Millionaires.
Oh, good title. Gentlemen, this is a great conversation. We're going to take a break and hear from some of our sponsors, and then we will be right back. So please do stay with us. We have a sponsorship. I want to thank Ian Palm Turner and Helen Ashard from the UK. Let's take a look, and then we'll be right back on The Wise Ones.
Ours is a world of wonder. Every day it reminds us of its beauty. It touches us, teaches us, and astounds us. But it also warns us that what we throw away does not go away. That higher temperatures mean a lot more than longer summers. That we can no longer take life as we know it for granted. We are at a unique stage in our history. Never before have we had such an awareness of what we are doing to the planet. And never before have we had the power to do something about that. We face a series
the other person, but listening needs to take up whatever it is, 70, 80, maybe 90% of the time, and I'm very impressed with that headline.
You've been an entrepreneur in a number of different things. Would you kind of just go over a little bit of your background as an entrepreneur? Because my follow-on question is related to that.
Well, I guess I told you that my father had passed away in his 50s, and so I was in my early teens. And one of the things that I had to do is to find some ways to generate some income. And so I started out. I had a pickup, and I started out by cutting firewood and selling it to barbecue places. That was one of probably the first entrepreneurial adventures I had. And then, well, I only had one real job in my life, and that's when I got married. And my wife, by the way, today is number 20,021. I count every single day, and every day I tell her she's the most important person in my life. But she was bringing home a paycheck, and she thought I ought to do too. I had a lot of big ideas, but no paycheck. So I went to work for a couple of years, and then I got tired of building somebody else's dream and went back to becoming a entrepreneur. I had a consulting business in the computer industries, and I had clients all over the world, South Africa, Switzerland, South America, Canada, and I had about, well, a number of Fortune 500 companies involved, had 17 employees on there. And this was a great business, and of course involved a lot of networking too. And then in addition to that, I did some real estate investing. I ended up with 31 different properties here in the Houston area, a shopping center and an office building and residential properties. I drilled a number of dry holes. Any of those of you that have been in the oil industry understand that not every hole is a winner. And then I got involved with the wellness coaching aspect, and I was actually on the advisory board of directors of one of the largest health and wellness companies in the country. John Maxwell said there's you need to do 5 things every day. And so the 5 things that I do is that I pray and I exercise. I get up in the morning between 4 and 5 o'clock, start by stretching, and then I do tapping meditation. And then I go to the health club and work out, come back and walk, and then I prepare my wife coffee. And then I end up reading or writing or networking to get the day started. And so a lot of the things that I'm concentrating on now is just trying to build that legacy.
Okay, given the pandemic we're in now, the way we did things 3 years ago as an entrepreneur, what would an entrepreneur, what should an entrepreneur focus on today to get to that post-pandemic success that we as entrepreneurs really want to achieve, in your opinion?
I think one of the things that probably needs to be involved in the aspect of a business is digital marketing. And I believe so strongly in that, the social media aspect and everything else that's involved to get into the SEO or PWA. Most people don't know about that, but it's what Google is using now to see who's going to be in those top 10 slots on the internet. So the other side is continuing education. You can look at something like the computer industry and you can see how things change every single day, but most industries are the same way there. So continuing education is one of the most important aspects of your business. I met with a developer in Houston. He developed some of the major projects in Houston. He's got 135 employees. Brad Friels is his name. And every month, he gives employees 1 day off, a paid day off, to be involved with their community. And I think that's a fantastic idea. I think every company ought to incorporate that.
What are you doing to get to the post-pandemic world in better shape than you are today, financially speaking?
I am focusing on digital marketing. I feel like it's so important that we connect, that we the value, the most valuable tool that you have is that list of customers and prospective customers that you want to. And every successful individual I know has developed techniques to be able to reach more and more people.
So by digital marketing, you're including the basic email blast that you may send out, obviously the video webinars, but also social media. And I know you're very active in that. I can't remember an event that I've been to with you that at the end of the event, you didn't take a picture of whoever was there in order to put it on social media to say, hey, we're out here, we're doing things. And you want to talk a little bit about why you do that?
Well, one of the things, of course, is to honor that individual and to help promote him. I've got a book on my bookshelf that ended up being the bestseller in fiction and nonfiction at the same time, and it's got my name in small print in the back of it because I helped promote that book. There's one other thing that I might mention. When you make a phone call, it's a pretty good chance that you're going to end up getting having to leave a voicemail message, and then when they call you, you may be busy and they have to do the same thing. When you send out an email, they tell me that only 1 out of 17 emails are read, and when you make when you send a letter, takes 4 or 5 days to get there and 4 or 5 days to get back. So one of the things that's happening today is texting, and I'm making use of mass texting. What the records show that most texts get read within 3 to 5 minutes, and that's really where I think a lot of the effort's going to be gone in the digital marketing area is going to be the mass texting aspect.
Gail, sorry, just a follow-up question.
Yes.
So I find that really interesting. Can you share with our audience, how does one go ahead and put together a mass texting list? And do you have to have permission in order to be able to text in mass?
Well, that's the way most people are doing that is they've got the free giveaways that they're doing with Facebook ads or that type of thing. And if the readers want to send an email to Gail at gailstolzenburg.com, I'll be happy to share the mass texting system, which has a lot of great information, educational information in there for you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Dr. Jacalyn was an employee for many, many, many years, and she entered the entrepreneurial world. Was the first day that COVID became official? Is that sort of a way of
March
stating
the
it?
6th, I think, yes.
And so she entered the entrepreneurial world with a severe handicap. And so she has managed to take her experience from private industry and make it work in an industry she never worked in before. So there's another way that, just because you are working right now and you want to do something doesn't mean you can't do, I think what Dr. Jacalyn calls them side gigs. You do something for a little bit and you a little bit more, a little bit more. And so those things help you because you're working in a different environment in a side gig with the manager, the boss, the customer, the client. And it's a different environment than when you're sitting there behind a desk at work or you're out driving your car doing something for a company. I'm sure you've probably seen a number of different the experiences that both you have had from that switch, in Gail's case many years ago, in Dr. Jacalyn's case, literally last year for all practical purposes, not much further back than that, but there's been a lot of change just within a very short time in entrepreneurs. And Dr. Jacalyn has taken her skills, and we're looking at the fruits of those right now in this one particular episode. USA Global TV is a new brand. We just launched that this month. Is that correct, Dr. Jacalyn?
The 10th of January.
And so now we have her new brand going forward. She has a book that she's putting out. You have a book that you're using in yours. A book will certainly help your credibility. But what else helps credibility, Gail, with regard to who you are and what you do in the entrepreneurial world?
Well, the best advice I've ever heard is be yourself. I think so many people try to be copycats of other individuals, and I may have been guilty of that in my life with some of my mentors, trying to maybe I was mentoring, maybe I was copycatting Big Al, but be yourself is the most important thing that the individual can focus on, and I think the key to almost every aspect of this is the word focus. I've found that if you block time out and you have a certain amount of time where you're out there working on getting new customers, you got a certain amount of time that you're making presentations, got a certain amount of time that you're doing follow-up. If you compress that time down, it turns out that you get a whole lot more done and in a short period of time.
Dr. Jacalyn, you're one of the busiest people I know. You have a show going on, it seems like back to back to back to back. How do you focus your time?
I have everything written down, because if it's not written down, then I'm going to probably not get to it. And as you know, I like to launch new things. So I'm just very structured and very disciplined. But something that's really important to me is getting back to people as quickly as possible, especially if they're clients, potential clients. If somebody asks me for a favor to help them, I want to turn around very quickly and not ask for anything in return. And I think when it comes to business, I do treat people with respect and try to understand what is it that they need? What can I help them? How can I bring value? And I think that's how I get everything done.
I also like the way you listen when people are saying something. I picked that up quite often in our conversations, that you are a true listeners to what people are saying. And that I think anybody appreciates when somebody listens to them. Would you agree, Gail?
I am so impressed with Dr. Jacalyn. I haven't met very many people that have been able to focus and succeed as quickly as she had. I always tell people to don't quit your day job until you reach the point where you're matching the income. But she was able to jump into this and has been so successful so quickly.
Thank you, Gail.
Gail, you see any hurdles entrepreneurs should be aware of in order to avoid or minimize as we're going to this post-pandemic part of our lives?
I think the biggest hurdle, if you're going from a job, some people call it just over broke, but I understand that that's not the case. They may have a fear about whether or not they can be successful or not. But the most important thing is making this switch and being accountable of your time. It's so easy when you're at home and you have distractions from family or other things going on to lose track of time on something. So as far as I think that's probably the biggest hurdle that I've seen, is that these people need to realize that they need to do as Dr. Jacalyn says, and write everything down and focus on the most important thing and get it done.
What have I not asked you about Gail Stolzenburg that you would like to share with our world today?
Gosh, you covered an awful lot of questions, Red, but I think the future is what we're all looking at. It's nice to as you get older to reminisce and think about how great things used to be and so on. But I think you also have to have this plan, and I've pretty well got the next. I started to say next 20 years. I may be cutting myself short there, but I've had people due to my gray hair ask me if I was retired, and I've told them that I don't know what that means. Is that sitting in a rocking chair waiting for the end or something? But I'm always going to be involved for the rest of my life.
Well, when I used to have hair, it was red. Now when I allow a couple to grow in, they come in platinum blonde. So we're not too far off on matching some of the hair colors. And I'm not even go that way with Dr. Jacalyn's. Dr. Jacalyn, do you have any questions you want to follow up with Gail today?
Gail, I just want to thank you so much. When Red connected us about the interview for the Houston Chamber of Commerce, you and I had a conversation. It was so nice. You're so easy to talk to. I just love your voice. First of all, you just have that voice that just clears the room. Everybody's silent, right? I shouldn't say clear, but silence the room. And your accomplishments are so many. The thing that also really impressed me is about how you changed your life and you changed your health. And I've struggled with health issues through a lot of my life, and I really look up to you for being able to take charge and make changes that then enabled you to parlay into all these other successes.
I'll tell you something about that voice. I've always had it. When I was when I was in school and in the church choir, the individual in charge asked me to mime the words because I had a bass voice and all these other boys had these little soprano voices, and I was throwing it off. So I would just mouth the words while everybody else sang.
Well, it served you well, that's for sure. And I'm just so grateful that you were here. I hope you'll come back and see us again. Gail, I'm going to spotlight you and put up your banner. Who would you like to contact you, and what services and offerings can you provide to them?
Well, I appreciate that. I've talked about several areas. One of those is health and wellness, and if somebody will just send me, they have an interest, just send me an email to gail@gailstolzenburg.com. I'll send them a copy of this book, Gut Matters, and that may result in them having more interest in what we're doing. In the networking or the connections area, I've got a number of courses that I help people get involved with successful networking. So those are two areas that might have some interest to some people.
And also the texting and mass, correct?
Oh yes, the mass texting. I'd be more than happy to share that information with people and understand. I don't receive a check from those guys. I'm just referring information to people.
And with your bass voice and your experience emceeing, and we were on a television program, The Boomer Connection, together. You were the master voice, and so that is also another service that you can offer people. Your contact information is there. You certainly have the ability and the wherewithal to make an event even better than it is, I believe.
I appreciate that, Red. And yes, I'm at this stage of my life. It's payback time, as opposed to trying to increase the income.
Yeah.
Gail, do you do voiceovers for commercials and sponsorships?
I actually had a good friend of mine that was involved with a voiceover company for some of the his clients. Some of the Hollywood stars were involved in that, and he asked me to get involved, and probably one of the many decisions that I made wrongly. I turned him down, but I would have enjoyed doing that.
All right, you're open to it.
I'm open.
All right, I'll be calling you. And Gail, I want to thank you for sharing your morning routine and the way that you just both of you speak so highly of your spouses. I think that's really beautiful. So, congratulations.
Thank you so
very
much for having me, Dr. Jacalyn, and Red. I appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you, sir. I'm
All
turning
right,
it back
thank you,
over
Gail.
to Dr. Jacalyn because it's her show, her platform, and it's that time.
Well, I would love to stay and chat. We have another show right after this. It's so like I could stay here literally and not get any sleep and just go and go and go because everyone's so interesting and I love hearing the stories. But unfortunately, we have to sign off for now. But Gail, I hope you will come back and visit us again, and I will be reaching out to you myself.
I'd love to do that. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye now.
Red, great job lining up Gail. He just is a wealth of information. And again, another heart centered person. So that's what we're all about here at USA Global TV. I'm going to spotlight you, and I would love for you to share who should reach out to you and the services and offers that you have.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Jacalyn. I speak, as you can tell here, on a regular basis, primarily in health and wellness. Nowadays, it's probably almost all video. I do some in live here in the Houston area. I was out a couple times this month already. But if there's something that your company or would benefit from, or your organization, and it hits in the longevity, aging environment, I'd love to chat, to talk to that group. Another thing that I really and true go get my mouth back together again. Another thing I enjoy doing is helping people get over that little hump of writing a book. 80% of Americans, according to a number of different sources, want to write. They want to do something, get a book out of them, but yet less than 2% actually write something. And it's a lot easier nowadays than it was even 5 years ago. So if you have any thought about writing a book, my email information, my email, no, my website is there. red.olaughlin.com is one way to reach me, or red.olaughlin@gmail.com. I can answer your questions with regard to what can you write, how can you write it. And again, as Dr. Jacalyn mentioned earlier, I've helped publish her books. We're getting ready to do our second book. I believe it's coming out the first week of April. It's our intended launch date for her #2 book, which will also be a #1 bestseller. I almost feel it just based on what we're seeing now. But if you have a book and it's near publishing and you just need to get some questions answered, again, I'm more than happy to share my information with you, my wisdom, my thoughts. Those are things that really make me feel happy. So that's what I can do for you.
Thank you, Red. And you're also Talking Head, one of our experts here on USA Global TV. When can people watch your presentations?
It's Monday. We did our first one this week. We'll be on the next 5 weeks. We talked about longevity, the causes, what you can do to accelerate or decelerate the aging process. Last Monday, I'm starting to shift into disease in general. What causes the things that we get, cancer and all the rest of that stuff. So we'll be looking in the next couple of weeks at what causes disease and what can you do to minimize, stop, halt those kinds of things in your body as early as you possibly can. And then after that, we're going to be going a little bit more into some age-related diseases. So I believe I think it's noontime on Monday, but we'll be putting out a lot of information on social media and
our website.
Yes, and the website, usaglobaltv.com.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you, Red. You are truly doing a great job, and I'm just so grateful to have you as a friend and as a partner here on this platform.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Jacalyn.
All right, we'll see you again soon. Bye. Thank you, everyone. I just want to announce for you to take the opportunity when you have the time to go over and check out our new website, usaglobaltv.com. We will be making additional enhancements to the site based on requests that we're getting from people about what they'd like to see there. So you can find all of our shows there as well as the times, and you can also watch the shows on our playlist. So this show will be in the playlist called The Wise Ones, and you can pull it up anytime. You can share it with your friends and family and just refer to it for all the wonderful content that was shared here today. Our next show is coming up momentarily. It's called The Listening Mentor, and that is with me and my team of elevated listeners. If you would like to be an elevated listener, it's so easy. All you have to do is go over to my website, my personal website, which is drjacalyn.com, and you can actually book your session to the power of listening. We have 5 courses, and when you complete the first 2 courses and you take a quiz and pass with 100%, you become an elevated listener and can be a regular on our TV show, The Listening Mentor. So I'm all about peace, and I truly believe that when we listen to each other authentically, without coming up with solutions, without interrupting, and without judging, and my favorite is without waiting for that second that the other person stops talking so you can leap in with your one-upsman story. We've seen this so many times. Oh, I've got a better story. No, all of that needs to go by the wayside so we can have inner peace and help facilitate world peace. And that's what I'm all about. So if you'd like to do that, be on that journey, just go over to my website, drjacalyn.com. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Red. Thank you, Gail. So nice having you. We'll be back very shortly with The Listening Mentor.